Hello students, now we are going to see your fourth poem Ulysses written by Alfred Tennyson. In the first part of the video, which contains 10 lines, first 10 lines, which conveys Ulysses' thirst for adventure, which does not allow him in the comforts of his kingdom as a mere ruler. Ulysses thinks about his adventures and sends a life of idleness. He does not find much meaning in his new life as a king. As a king, he pronounces rewards and punishment to the citizens. These citizens do not know his truly adventurous spirit. Now, we are going to see your next 8 lines from 11 to 18. I am become a name for always roaming with a hungry heart. Much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself not least, but honored of them all, and drunk delight of battle with my peers. For on the ringing plains of windy Troy, I am a part of all that I have met. Now we can see the explanation. I am become a name. I here represents to Ulysses. I am become a name, which means that he become famous. Because, why? For always roaming with a hungry heart. Because he always roams with a hungry heart. What does mean by hungry heart? Because his heart's desire to see many places. He portrays himself as a traveler with a hungry heart. Much have I seen and known cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments. So here he says about that he has visited a variety of different places with different manners, weathers, governments, councils, etc. Myself not least, but honored of them all. Myself not least. I was not treated like the least little thing by them, but I was honored by everybody whom he had met. Next line. And drunk delight of battle with my peers far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. And drunk delight of battle with my peers. It means he describes the time he spent in the war. He says his war participation on plains of Troy in Trojan War, and he is delighted with his peers in the war field. Far on the ringing plains of windy Troy, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy, the famous city where the Trojan War took place. The plains are ringing. Why? Because of the armor clashing together in the battle. Now to the next line. I am a part of all that I have met. It is a strange phrase. It means all the places he had seen are now a part of him. The phrase suggests that Ulysses left parts of himself everywhere he went. This sounds like he does not belong to Ithaca. In these 8 lines, Ulysses says about his own travels and knowledge gained through it. He says that he has got name and fame through his adventures. He tells us that he has visited a variety of different places with different manners, weather, governments, etc. He portrays himself as a traveler with the insatiable desire, that is hungry heart, to see as many places as he can. He also says that he was not treated like to be the least little thing, but was honored by everybody whom he had met. He describes the time he spent in the war. He says his war participation on plains of Troy in Trojan War, and he is delighted with the peers in the war field. He declares that he is a part of all that he has met. Now we move to the next 6 lines. Yet all experience is arc, where through gleams that untravelled world, whose margin fades for ever and for ever when I move. How dull it is to pass to make an end, to rest unburnished, not to sign in use, as though to breathe were life. Now we move to the explanation. Ulysses further justifies his desire to keep traveling and living a life of adventure. In this line, yet all experience is an arc. So he says that He compares that his experiences to an arc where through gleams that untraveled world whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. As he moves through the arc of experiences, he goes to an untraveled world, which is a place that gleams at him through the arc. Here, the untraveled world is a reference to death. Death is always looking at him. Forever and forever when I move. He says that the more he travels, the more margins or edges of the untraveled world are covered up. Forever and forever when I move. He says that he has to do to walk through inside the arc. How dull it is to pass to make an end. He also says that how dull, how boring it is to just sitting around when he could explore the world. To rust unburnished, not to shine in use, like a metal which gets rust if unused. Life without adventure is meaningless. As though to breathe were life. According to him, living is not merely breathing to stay alive. Life is about adventure. Ulysses, through these lines, speaks of his wastage of time in Ithaca, where he could not satisfy his heart thirst of adventurous journey of life. Even though he affirms that he has seen in letting him know that there is no more to be known. He compares his life or experiences to an arc and describes the untraveled world as a place that shines at him through that arc. All he has to do is walk through the arc. He shows his hurry through these words because he says that he wants his life not to be unrested. In his opinion, to rest is to rust. Now we move to the last 9 lines of the first part of Ulysses. Life piled on life were all too little, and of one to me little remains, but every hour is saved from that eternal silence, something more, a bigger of new things, and while it were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself, and this grey spirit yearning in desire to follow knowledge like a sinking star beyond the utmost bound of human thought. Now we move to the explanation. Life piled on life were all too little. Life piled on life. Piled on life means even multiple lifetimes would not be enough for him. Were all too little. It is not enough for him to do all the things he wants. Little remains, but every hour is saved from the eternal silence. Here, little remains means only his lifetime is little, that is, he is nearing to death. He is very old. Why? Because he is very old and a few days remains in his life. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence. Something more. Every hour means each additional hour in his life, since he is becoming old now, for that each additional hour that he lives for that or each hour that he is saved from that eternal silence means his death. He is something more, something he should bring him new experiences. And while it were for 3 suns to store and hoard myself, it is vile, it is evil to sit in Ithaca by wasting the time for him to hang out in Ithaca for 3 years when his desire for adventure is still so alive. And this grey spirit earning in desire, grey spirit reminds us that he is old and he is near to death, but not his willpower. To follow knowledge like a sinking star. It is one hand Ulysses wants to chase after knowledge and try to catch the knowledge as it sinks like a star. On the other hand, Ulysses himself could be a sinking star because he is nearing closer to death, beyond the utmost bound of human thought. Though Ulysses grow old, he is determined to seize the knowledge and radiate a desire for adventure. In his opinion, to rest is to rest. He wants to shine rather than being rested. He shows his hurry through these words that even his life is blessed with multiple lifetimes. Time will be insufficient to touch all the places of the world. He is very old and a few days remains in his life. So he wanted to utilize each and every hour of his life to gain knowledge. It is waste of time for him to hang out in Ithaca for 3 years when his desire for adventure is still so alive. He uses Grey Spirit to remind us that he is old and near to death, but not to his willpower. The phrase follow knowledge like a sinking star means here two things. On one hand, Ulysses wants to chase after knowledge and try to catch it as it sinks like a star. On the other hand, Ulysses himself could be the sinking star. That makes sense too. He is moving closer to death.